Hello, you guys. So, Dr. Melanie Carlo here, continuing this inquiry into what causes our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response and what we can do about it, especially when our bodies reveal that we've been holding chronic tension and it hurts. So, I spent time with a friend just recently, just got back from a trip, and she and I dove in a little bit deep, and she seemed like the least likely person to have a freeze response. But she shared with me that that happens to her quite frequently. It's an internal thing. A lot of times people wouldn't even know that it was going on. And she's starting to trace it backwards into her childhood and things that happened to her then. Have that ever happened to you where you've gone like completely still inside and maybe parts of you wanted to act but you just like couldn't? Maybe in a conversation you froze, or something came up that you felt was kind of dangerous or overwhelming, and maybe afterwards you thought, why didn't I do something? Like, why was I frozen? Well, today I want to dive into and help you understand why that freeze happens and how to gently come back from it. Because there's things that we can do without pushing or forcing, but by restoring flow to the vagus nerve, this amazing nerve that acts like this vagrant, this migrant in the body, touching on all the body's systems. And you can use your breath and the subtle anatomy of safety to help give it the message that you're safe now, and start to release and let go of old windings, old tension patterns from the past. So stay to the end. At the end, I'm going to weave in an energy medicine practice that can help you. And also that feeling of not enoughness, like guilt or shame that you couldn't do something about it. There's ways to actually deeply return to yourself. So let's start here. Freeze is not a failure. When you freeze up, it actually at one point was a brilliant survival response, just as wise and just as ancient as fight or flight. The nervous system gets into a freeze phase when it senses there's no way out. You can't run from the danger. You can't fight the danger. And maybe it's also a little bit of the personality style that you have, and so it just shuts everything down. It slows the breath, lowers your heart rate. It conserves every little bit of energy. So in animals, like a rabbit, it keeps them frozen from being seen, smelled, or heard by a predator, right? It just shuts everything into a freeze frame. But in humans, when we learn it as a child and then the trigger comes again, it begins to become a pattern. It can show up not just as freezing, but as a place of numbness, disorientation, or even like feeling dissociated, like you left your body. And it is not a weakness. You are not broken. It's actually a protection, a brilliant protection. But the challenge is that when the body experiences the trigger and goes back to an old pattern, but it's no longer appropriate with you, the danger has passed, you are stuck. You might notice that you feel kind of flat or disconnected. You can't find words, or motivation really sinks. And you might even feel guilt or shame. Shame is one of the lowest vibration frequencies that we can have. So just notice that if you're not able to act or help or respond when it mattered, you probably have a reaction to that afterwards. But here's the truth. Your body did exactly what it thought it needed to do to keep you alive and safe. So now it's about helping it know it's safe to come home again. It's safe to actually stay in the present moment and be able to respond. So in this video today, I want to take us through 3 really powerful channels that we can use: our breath, our touch, and our attention. And each one has the opportunity to speak directly to the vagus nerve, that great communicator between your body, your brain, your heart, and your gut. So when you breathe like through the throat and make sounds, when you touch specific neurovascular points, when you use the movement of the eyes to direct focus, you can learn to signal safety to this primitive animal body with kindness, with compassion. And when safety returns, so does flow. movement, expression in the mind and the emotions and the body's rhythms. So let's walk through a few gentle ways that you can support a return from freeze. Okay, the first one, breath through the throat. So I'm going to ask you to begin inhaling softly through the nose and love breathing into the low back. Any of you that follow me know low back rib breathing is not fully well understood, and it's a powerful tool. So if you had your hands around your back, your thumbs at the back of your ribs, feel yourself breathing to push your thumbs apart and backwards. So inhaling softly through the nose into the low back, exhale. And now this next time as you breathe in, you're going to exhale with a soft sound like, ah. Really good sound. And then there's an old one from the Vedic text from yoga where you breathe in and you exhale with a voo, voo. So just keep that up. Inhaling and then exhaling through a slightly open mouth and feel vibration. There should be a vibration sense, especially with voo, as it moves through the chest and the diaphragm. And literally, that vibratory sense wakes up the vagus nerve. Humming is another way. Try that. Inhale. Makes my lips tickle. I prefer the voo. But all of those sounds that cause a vibration travel through the throat, the lungs, into the belly, like saying to your body, it's okay now. Everything's safe. You can move again. So a couple more like that. Breathing, voo. Inhaling, ah. And just notice. Notice if there's a tingling, a warmth. There could even be a rising emotion. And just stay with it. When you are experiencing a sense of freezing, this is a way you can help the body thaw. All right, another one for freeze recovery. This is one of my favorite tools from energy medicine. So if you rub your hands together, you put your fingers just gently over your closed eyes and just feel the warmth of your hands or your fingers over your eyes and let that contact just sit there. And from the eyes, then very gently, I want you to bring your fingers around like you were cupping your ears. You're now on your triple warmer meridian, up around the ears. And let the fingers move around, lightly circling them, and then trace your hands down the sides of your neck. And I'm going to ask you to crisscross right and left, and there's a reason for that, over the heart, and make kind of a heart shape. You can do it again. You can crisscross and just make a heart shape. And come back to the heart and actually physically say, it's over, I'm safe, I'm safe. And as you do that, let your eyes gently go to the side as if you were listening inside yourself. This simple gesture really tells your body whatever the threat was, it's past. Eyes to the side is a peripheral vision, which takes us out of the targeted freeze mode. Eyes to the side, heart covered. Let that practice just bring you back. If you find yourself unable to think or speak or frozen, it's very powerful. This next one is a neurovascular hold. So we have these amazing places in our body where our nerves, our vascular system, and our lymphatics all come into a really concentrated cluster. And when you pay attention or give attention or a physical sense to these neurovascular areas, it has a profound effect on calming the nervous system. So this is a practice that can really help bring you back. Donna Eden, whose work I just love, calls this the oh my God hold. So where you put both hands just on your forehead, which we do naturally when we get bad news. Excuse me. Bad news or something's gone on that has caused distress. You can take the oh my God hold and bring one hand to the front and one hand to the back. Just try it now and feel it.
imagine even a line of energy between your front hand and your back hand, and between your back hand and your front hand. Like a warmth, a length through the head from the hands. And just notice. Let your elbows rest comfortably if you can. I like to do this at bed at night when I can't sleep. Brain's racing. That happens to me. I don't freeze as much as I get this like fight-flight response. Just stay there. You may feel the warmth or pulsing under your hands. That's literally blood returning to the prefrontal cortex, this profound area that makes us human and humane. It's a part of the brain that makes sense of things, that finds words and reconnects us to good choices. Isn't that awesome? And then there's guilt that can come up with freeze. Many people carry some deep shame for moments when they couldn't act and they felt like they should have afterwards. And maybe you felt that too, like a memory that stings and keeps stinging. We're going to talk about journaling for this too. There's some really powerful physiological, cognitive things we can do. That's the next video. But think of maybe something that still stings where you wish you had spoken up or moved, but you froze. And you can actually rewire that moment. So one hand again on your forehead, let the other hand be over your heart. And breathing slowly, I love just letting the eyes go to one side with your head facing forward. And think about connecting the two. Let the breath just be deep and slow in the low back. And connect the thinking brain with the feeling heart. As if you're telling your nervous system, I'm here now. You don't have to go through this alone. There's a literal connection between the heart and the mind. So again, another practice you can do if freezing comes up for you. And then there's another cool one. This is kind of a cortisol and adrenal reset. If you've been frozen, frequently freeze for a long time, your body starts to hold cortisol, a stress hormone. Long after the danger is gone, you get symptoms of anxiety or sudden onset of emotional feeling. You don't know where it's coming up. That stress hormone cortisol is a really difficult one. It causes an underlying higher tension or tone to the muscles, which we connect a lot of chronic pain to. So here's another one to help release that. Place your middle fingers about an inch below and out from the navel, so down below, and then your thumb into your eyebrow area and press in and up. And as you do this, I want you to imagine that you're actually spinning an energy up your back, around the front, between the eyes, down to the navel, through the belly to the back, tailbone. And maybe you can let the breath just gently spin this microcosmic orbit. You can also use your fingers here. There's power in that. Each of our fingers have different energy points, so play around with it. Sometimes one feels a lot better. Even just resting your hands there for a moment says, I'm here now. You can rest. So each of these practices can help your body do what just words cannot alone. It's completing a cycle where there's a felt sense of connecting something that once got interrupted, where you came up with a strategy around freezing because that's what made the most sense then. It was brilliant. But freeze isn't the end of the story. It's your body waiting for your attention, for your compassion, for permission to move again. And when you work with your breath, with touch, and with gentle awareness, and most of all with compassion, your nervous system starts to receive permission to relax, truly relax at the level that it's able to understand. And in doing that, blood flow gets restored, lymphatic flow increases, your nervous system begins to move and flow again into areas that maybe have been held by tension. You restore flow throughout the body. So if you've ever thought, I should have done something, or why don't I feel more alive? Why do I feel kind of dead? Numb inside. remember this, you didn't fail and you're not broken. At one point that may be below your conscious memory, your body acted to protect you. And now we're finding and giving tools that you can bring yourself back online. You can start to take those dim lights and turn them back on again. Safely, gently, and in your own time. And it may be that you notice it's hard to remember to do it. I take little stickies. I'm like the queen of little stickies. Little stickies, and I have them up. And these are things that I remind myself to do or who I know myself to be. And they're in my awareness till it becomes more conscious. So take one of these practices into your day. Maybe it's just a soft or voo. Notice what shifts. Maybe it's letting the eyes go to the side as you practice this. Maybe it's the holding that we've discussed here. And just notice with this gentle hold, as if you were reparenting that child inside that had difficult times it didn't know what to do with, that a quiet sense of aliveness begins to arise again in the body. If this resonated with you, I think you'll love the next video, which I'm going to make right now, where I want to explore how we can use the brilliant work of Nicole Sachs, who wrote a book called Mind Your Body, based on the work of John Sarno, who was a doctor, who was one of the early mind-body medicine teachers that influenced my work early in the 80s. I've been a physical therapist forever. But this is very powerful work for us to actually tune into those held places that are just trying to protect us. So with journaling, you use the cognitive mind to be able to reprogram, rewire, and then when you add a somatic movement, you can truly repattern old beliefs and deeply release what no longer serves at the level you're experiencing it, freeing protective neurons, muscle tension from chronic stress. And all of this brings back radiance, the play, the movement, the radiant energy that is your lifeblood. It is our given until it's taken away from us. And we can, Wayne Dyer used to say, it's never too late to have a good childhood. We can go back and reparent those places, because recovery and healing isn't just about surviving. It's about remembering the joy, the innocent joy of being alive. Because when you're in that place, everything around you takes on a different radiance. We got this. See you later, Gaias.